This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update. Dynamite held their big second anniversary Dynamite episode last night, AEW Dynamite. And their very first Dynamite episode 2 years ago did a 0.68 rating back when they were still telling people they were going to go back to classic wrestling and build their own stars. They ended up pretty much throwing most of their own stars to the wayside and going with old WWE stars. And it seems like those stars are already fading because when Daniel Bryan and CM Punk first came over, the ratings were a lot closer. But this week, Raw did a 0.452. And Dynamite did a 0.37. And last week on Friday night, Rampage only did a 0.25. And SmackDown did a 0.62. So the newness of CM Punk definitely wore off pretty fast. I don't think most mainstream people care about him. They just see him as pathetic after his losses. I know he had his fans that were really excited to see him after being off for so long, but he never cut it for me as a wrestler. However, I don't doubt he has his fans. I don't see why they like him, but I don't doubt that he definitely has some loyal fans. One thing I noticed when I was watching the Dynamite highlights is they're bringing in Junior Dos Santos from the UFC now to AEW and a bunch of other UFC fighters. And they did an angle where the UFC guys beat up Sammy Guevara and Fuego del Sol, who was on that world-class pro wrestling event with me on the weekend that I was covering for the Hannibal TV, where Fuego ended up teaming with Matt Hardy. But I'm bringing this up because they had these MMA fighters on throwing the weakest looking punches and kicks ever because they haven't been properly trained. And then you see Sammy Guevara and Fuego del Sol looking like they're hitting so much harder than these like literal slow motion punches that these MMA fighters are doing. So what's the point of bringing in MMA fighters to supposedly give it credibility if they don't actually know how to throw a realistic looking punch or kick that doesn't do any damage? Because like you actually should learn how to wrestle if you're going to be a wrestler. Because to me, and I suggest people go and watch it, it looked like absolute shit. These guys are throwing punches at like 20% of the speed you'd see them throw in UFC. So Sunday, I'm going to be interviewing Shane Douglas, Man Mountain Rock, aka Max Payne. Later this month, I'll be interviewing. And Jenny Santana, who I had an impromptu wrestling match with on the weekend, is going to be doing an interview with me too. And not this week, but next week, I believe. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Scott. What's up, Polly? I'm going to hit the gym, do some shoulders tonight. Big Fish. Yeah, there is good bad guys in wrestling, but the problem is the major companies don't want to use the real bad guys. No, there's no chance of that, John, although I am friends with her. So again, I'm going off to the gym. I suggest you guys watch it and tell me in the comments if you agree with me that these MMA fighters throwing the weakest looking punch and kicks ever has any benefit, because it sure as hell didn't help the ratings. The ratings, okay, you went from a 0.68 when you debuted to a 0.37. And your big Rampage with the dream match between one of the Jacksons and Daniel Bryan did a 0.25 rating. So, as I said, Daniel Bryan's never going to draw the mainstream fans because he's a midget. Let's face the facts. He's small. and all he does is leg slaps and fake MMA looking crap. I never saw The Rock do a leg slap. Never saw Hulk Hogan do a leg slap. Never saw Steve Austin do a leg slap. Never saw Kevin Nash do a leg slap. Never saw The Ultimate Warrior do a leg slap. Never saw Goldberg do a leg slap. None of the greats do this shitty leg slapping crap. Never seen The Undertaker do a leg slap. So this is why I'll just stick to reporting on wrestling and other things, because I just don't find it entertaining. It's just so uncool. It's not even funny. Not that I'm the coolest guy in the world. I definitely am not, but it's too uncool for me. Current products. Oh, and someone commented the other day, wrestling fans have never been considered cool. If you're saying that, you weren't alive in the 80s or the 90s, because during the peak of the Attitude Era, it was cool to be a wrestling fan. And when Hulkamania was running wild in the 80s, it was cool to be a wrestling fan. It was cool. So if you're saying that wrestling fans have never been considered cool, actually at one point they were, because the wrestling fans that are going to watch wrestling no matter what were kind of respected during those times for their knowledge. And then the quote unquote cool people that watched wrestling because it was cool at the time were also cool. So the reason why wrestling isn't cool these days is because it sucks. And bringing on MMA fighters to throw punches at 20% speed and kicks that don't look like they can break an egg is I'm sorry, that's not going to help the product.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews.